Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, I want to take you through a detailed look at that jaw-dropping headline, Boom! Ukraine hits Crimean Bridge again, Russia caught off guard. We'll dive into what exactly happened, why it matters, how both sides are reacting, and what could be coming next in this high-stakes game of strategic strikes. Let's begin with the basics. On June 3, 2025, Ukraine's Security Service, SBU, claimed responsibility for an underwater explosive attack, targeting the Crimean Bridge, also called the Kerch Bridge. Wikipedia +3 Reuters, +3 the Kyiv Independent +3. This was not a random blast or an accidental strike. It was an operation that reportedly took months of covert planning and preparation. United 24 Media +2 Reuters +2. The bridge supports below the waterline. The very foundations that hold up the road and rail sections were mined and then detonated using approximately 100 kilograms of explosives in TNT equivalent. The Guardian +3 Reuters +3 United 24 Media +3. According to the SBU, the damage was severe. The Kyiv Independent +3 United 24 Media +3 Reuters. The timing of the blast was early morning, around 4:44 a.m. local time, Wikipedia +2 Reuters +2. Russian authorities acknowledged a temporary suspension of traffic on the bridge between roughly 4 a.m. and 7 a.m. Reuters plus The Guardian +2. They later said the bridge was reopened. Reuters +2 ABC +2. However, Russia has been cautious about admitting the full extent of the damage, with some state outlets describing the disruption as temporary or minimal. Wikipedia +4 Reuters +4. The Guardian +4 now. Why is this significant? Why does an underwater blast on bridge supports matter so much? First, the Crimean Bridge is both symbolically and strategically important. It's one of Russia's prized infrastructure projects, connecting the Russian mainland to the peninsula of Crimea, territory Russia annexed in 2014, Reuters +3 ABC +3, The Guardian +3. Militarily, it has served as a logistics lifeline, moving troops, equipment, and supplies into and out of Crimea, ABC +3 The Guardian +3 Reuters +3. Damaging its supports undermines that lifeline. Second, this strike marks the third major attack on the bridge since the full-scale invasion began in 2022, ABC +4 Reuters +4 United 24 Media +4. The earlier two strikes, in 2022 and 2023, targeted the bridge in different ways, on the surface or via drones operating above water. This time, the tactic was more covert and technically demanding, mining underwater supports and detonating them. The Kyiv Independent, 4 United 24 Media +4 Reuters +4, Ukraine's security chief, Vasyl Malyuk is said to have overseen the operation personally, and SBU officials describe it as an operation built on stealth and surprise. The Kyiv Independent +3 United 24 Media +3 Reuters +3. In their own words, God loves a trinity, and the SBU always finishes what it starts, underscoring that this is the third in a sequence. United 24. Media +3 XR.AZ +3 The Kyiv Independent +3. What's clever about this method is that it targets the weakest but most crucial element of the bridge, the underwater supports. If those fail, the entire structure becomes vulnerable. A strike on the supports is harder to detect and defend against, especially if the placement is covert, and it inflicts damage that's often more costly to repair than superficial hits. This approach suggests Ukraine is learning, adapting, and escalating in sophistication. Now, Russia's reaction. Official statements have been muted. Some state outlets downplayed the damage, assuring citizens that the bridge is operational again, though acknowledging temporary suspension. Wikipedia +4 Reuters +4 ABC +4. Kremlin spokespeople are likely weighing how much to admit without undermining confidence or revealing vulnerabilities. Meanwhile, Russian media and military bloggers have started debating how serious this strike really is and how it might impact supply chains. Reuters +2, The Washington Post +3. the Guardian +3. Some suggest the structural damage is manageable. Others argue that even if the bridge remains functional, the psychological and strategic impact is large. The Washington Post, the Kyiv Independent +2 on Ukraine's side, the message is bold. They want the world to see that no Russian target is off limits, that occupation infrastructure can be struck, and that Russia's hold on Crimea is not secure. The Kyiv Independent +4, the Guardian +4, Reuters +. By taking this operation underwater and keeping it covert until the moment of detonation, Ukraine aims to project an image of precision, technological edge, and strategic daring. Let's think about some of the broader implications. First, Russia's logistics to and from Crimea will be under more pressure. If parts of the bridge are damaged irreparably, alternate routes, sea, air, longer land paths, will need to be used, making supply lines slower, more vulnerable, and more expensive. Second, it increases the risk for Russian command and planners because it signals that even their most defended and iconic projects are not safe. That increases the burden on Russia's air defense, naval defense, and monitoring of underwater activity in the area. Third, it affects morale and narrative. Domestically in Ukraine, this is a story of resistance and strength. Internationally, it's a message. Ukraine is not passively defending, it's actively striking. And for Russia, it is a symbolic blow to prestige. Putin built that bridge as a showpiece. Striking it multiple times undermines that image. Fourth, it might provoke escalations. Russia might respond with stronger retaliation, more aggressive naval patrols, attempts to block or restrict Ukrainian naval routes, or increased defense of its coastal areas. We could expect intensified drone warfare, submarine detection, sonar sweeps, or more patrols in the Black Sea. Now, no operation is without risk, and there are some caveats to consider. Accuracy. Underwater operations are more complex and unpredictable. The force of water, currents, structural variances, and defenses can all affect the result. Attribution and denial. Russia might deny or minimize the damage publicly and use censorship, misinformation, or counterclaims to shift blame or sow confusion. Retaliation. Russia could target Ukraine's naval assets, coastal installations, supply lines, or civilian infrastructure in response. Repair and redundancy. Russia might have repair teams, modular support systems, or backups to patch parts of the bridge quickly. They may also accelerate alternative logistics routes, civilian and collateral risk. If the structural integrity is compromised more than acknowledged, collapse or partial failures could endanger lives or result in cascading damage. Looking ahead, here's what to watch for. Satellite imagery and open-source intelligence, OSINT, to verify damage over time. Repair activity, whether Russia can rebuild or reinforce underwater supports quickly. Disruption in traffic patterns, especially heavy road or rail transport through the bridge. Retaliatory strikes from Russia, especially on Ukraine's sea or coastal assets. Ukraine's next moves, whether they attempt further underwater operations, sabotage, or combine these with aerial or missile attacks. International reaction, how allies, media, and governments respond to escalation and hit-back capability. One interesting dimension already emerging is whether the bridge is still being used heavily for military transport. Some analysts argue that Russia may have shifted a portion of its logistics to alternate routes or sea shipping, precisely because of repeated attacks. Business Insider. Even if that's true, the bridge still retains strategic and symbolic importance, making it a tempting target for Ukraine. Business Insider +2 United 24 Media +2 in sum. This latest strike is not just about damaging steel and concrete. It's a message of capability, intent, and psychological pressure. It says, Ukraine is bold, precise, covert, and that Russian infrastructure, even the most defended, is vulnerable. So when your viewers see that title, boom! Ukraine hits Crimean Bridge again, Russia caught off guard. It captures the essence, shock, surprise, escalation. But behind that shock is months of planning, strategic calculation, and a real battle for control over supply lines, perception, and territory. Thanks for watching through this detailed breakdown. If you want, I can also help you with a shortened summary script, animated visuals ideas, or how to present this in a news-style broadcast. Just let me know.